Dr. Miguel Nicolelis is changing the world one step at a time. A pioneer in the field of brain-machine interface, he made headlines decades ago when he trained monkeys to operate a computer game joystick using only their thoughts.
They were playing these complex, elaborate games by moving this robotic arm and then a computer cursor just by imagining the movements. That's when we got the idea that this would be certainly feasible in a human being.
And so the dream began, to one day give those who were paralyzed a chance to walk again. That was actually part of an even bigger dream, to use science to make the world a better place. And the place Nicolelis chose to start was near his boyhood home in Sao Paulo, Brazil. It was an impoverished area with limited health care. So he called up then Brazilian President Luiz Lula da Silva and asked him for help in creating a bioengineering institute there.
We call it a science as an agent of social and economic transformation. And President Lula loved the idea, and he allowed us to actually get this going. And we got lots of Brazilians living abroad to contribute to this, and we built this institute.
That institute now delivers health care to thousands of Brazilians and conducts state-of-the-art neuroscience experiments. But Nicolelis was just getting started. He had another dream, and it was big, huge, to showcase the culmination of his research, a robotic suit that a paraplegic could use to walk, simply by thinking it.
The patient imagines the kind of movement he wants to make. We are recording the electrical activity of the brain containing this desire to move, and we translate that desire into a digital command that makes the robot carry the weight of the patient. But more than that, since the robot has sensors in its legs and feet, it provides feedback that is essential for patients to actually have a feeling that they're actually walking again.
So they can somehow sense that they're walking?
Oh yes, absolutely.
This exoskeleton is nothing short of miraculous, and Nicolelis believed there was only one venue big enough to showcase it: the 2014 World Cup. He made another call, this time to the new Brazilian president,
and proposed to her this idea, of showcasing a complete new country, a country that is trying to use science to improve the quality of life of millions of people who suffer from this kind of lesion. And she just signed off and said, well, the only problem is you have 18 months. And when we got out of the...
Get busy.
Exactly. When we got out of the presidential palace, I looked to my friends and said, we're in trouble. She knows, and we know, there are only 18 months left.
So he and his team set up shop in Sao Paulo and went to work. Their goal? To kick off the World Cup with a kick. A paraplegic wearing the exoskeleton would kick a soccer ball. But first they had to perfect the suit and train paraplegics to use it. That meant mapping their brainwaves with a thinking cap of sorts. The sensors monitor brainwaves and then translate those thoughts into electrical signals sent to the exoskeleton. When word got out about the project, Nicolelis said it became something of a hometown sensation.
We would go anywhere in São Paulo where we are doing this, and people wanted to talk about science. In Brazil, during the World Cup. So this was kind of almost mind-boggling, because kids in the airport would stop us to talk about the robot. It was a lot of pressure, because as my mother said, this kind of thing is not even your mother will accept you if you fail.
After 4 months of intense work, Nicolelis had to pick only one out of several trainees to wear the suit.
It came down to Juliano, who had this amazing ability to stay cool and concentrate, surrounded by 70,000 soccer fans screaming, and didn't balk at the pressure. Let's face it, of doing a demo that had never been done in front of a billion people audience.
And so it came to this. With virtually the entire world watching, Nicolelis' dream, and that of paralyzed people everywhere, was about to come true exactly 18 minutes and 33 seconds into the ceremony. Were you nervous?
Oh, the 18 minutes and 33 seconds, this movie went by my mind, you know, my entire life, my entire career, thinking, is it over now? Or, you know, it's never going to be the same. And it was just an amazing feeling.
Giuliano Pinto stood before the world, imagined himself kicking that soccer ball, and then...
The most touching aspect of it, and I think what made him and all of us cry like babies on the pitch, was that he told us, I felt it, you know, I felt the kick. And he was, you know, imagine you have been after a car accident, a terrible car accident, you have been paralyzed for 6 years, and all of a sudden you are in a soccer field, upright, thinking about kicking, and that robot moves your leg and you feel the contact with the ball. It was very touching.
Best thing in your career?
Oh, by a long shot.
One small step for Giuliano, but a giant leap for all those dreaming of walking again. And for Nicolelis, it was a huge victory for the power of science.
Yeah, I think that was the important message that we want to give to kids, not only in Brazil, but all over the world. First, that a career in science is fun. But the fact that we got so many messages from Brazilian kids and kids from all over the world saying that they wanted to be engineers or scientists to participate in the Walk Again project, for us was the greatest reward as scientists, of course.
His Walk Again project is only the beginning, he hopes, of rapid advancements in brain-machine interface. He's developing new treatments for Parkinson's disease and traumatic brain injury. And he met perhaps America's most famous quadriplegic, the late Christopher Reeve. Both were attending a conference where Nicolelis was to speak about his research. But as fate would have it, Nicolelis arrived at the hotel in the middle of a car robbery and was shoved to safety smack dab into a mud puddle.
I had mud all over my suit, right? And he was on the stage waiting for me because I was the next speaker. And he came to me, nice entrance, Dr. Nicolelis. You know.
Nicolelis' next dream to showcase a smaller, lighter version of his exoskeleton at the 2016 Olympics in Brazil. Reeve once said, so many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. Those words describe Nicolelis' research to a T and prove how one man can change the world, one step at a time.